Happy Tuesday morning, y'all. This is Ned over at myphilippinedreams.com, and what we're going to do in this video is just take a look at some of the differences between houses in the West compared to houses in the Philippines. And what we're going to be doing first in this first part of this, probably a two-part series, is just looking at some of the external differences between houses in the West and houses in the Philippines. Alright, first up, one of the major differences between houses in the West and houses in the East is that a lot of houses in the Philippines are surrounded by security walls and steel security gates. You can see the one we have here in our house. This isn't a big wall. It's only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cinder blocks high. It's about 5 feet 10 inches, which is about my height. It's got a little bit of barbed wire at the top. It's not enough to stop somebody from coming over the wall, but it's more of a discouragement. And also it seems that the walls are built more to keep like a guard dog inside, because most Filipinos and expats have guard dogs within their compounds. The security gate here is just made of metal. They actually fabricate most of this. You can see them welding them and painting them and doing all that stuff. And it's big enough to get your truck in and out and all that. Alright, a second difference between houses in the West and houses here in the Philippines are these security grates. These are basically fabricated. They're not that thick. You could actually use a bolt cutter to get through them. But again, I think the intention is to slow somebody or discourage somebody from breaking in rather than stop them from getting in. I've actually seen some homes that have really thick ones, which would deter a bolt cutter. And you can see also we got the screens. A lot of houses don't have these. We have to have these because I can't stand bugs and beetles flying around and snakes and spiders and all that. So that discourages the critters from getting in. Actually, where I lived in the inner city in New England, you'd see a lot of houses in the neighborhood that actually had steel bars and all that stuff. So that's pretty similar. But most houses in the West do not have security gratings. Alright, here's another difference between houses in the West and houses in the Philippines. This right here is actually a water line. In the West they have pipes and all that. Here in the Philippines it's basically like garden hose size. That's why when you're looking for a house you want to check the water pressure, because a lot of times there's not much water pressure coming out of these. And when a bunch of people in the neighborhood are using the water at the same time, it's really hard to get any kind of pressure. This is another difference between houses in the West and houses in the Philippines. This is actually like a theft deterrent system. It's basically dogs kept in metal cages all day. They spend their entire lives in these little metal cages. And they're basically just an audible alarm system. Alright, here's another difference. This is actually a native wood constructed house. It's Nipa. And you can see the Nipa roof. And we had that in Darwin, and it's actually very cool. It doesn't absorb the heat and it breathes really well. The only downside, excuse me, the only downside is that a whole bunch of bugs get in the house and all that stuff. Because I'm showing this roof here because we're going to go look at our roof right now. Mama McCracken. This is Mama McCracken. She is Stinky McCracken's mom. Alright, I just showed the Nipa roof because we're going to look at our roof. We have a metal roof. It's corrugated steel, and as you can see there's no provision for any type of venting up at the top. There's no, what do they call them, ridge vents or anything like that. And it's also painted a dark color. It's like a reddish color, and I think that's a carryover from Spanish colonialism with the red clay tile roofs. You can actually see one of the newer roofs over there. And again, there's no provision for ridge venting or anything like that. I think it has to do with the torrential rains they get, and they don't want water getting in the house. And our neighbors also have metal roofs painted a dark color. I know in the Mediterranean they paint the roofs white to reflect a lot of the heat, and they have better venting on the roofs. There are actually E-vents on the bottom of the roof, but these are supposed to be used as intakes, and they're supposed to be ridge vents or something like that up top to vent the heat out. So what happens is this metal roof heats up, it's dark colored, it's got no venting, and it basically radiates the heat all day, all night. So the internal temperature of the house is pretty high as a result. What I'd like to do is take some of that Nipa roof and put it on that roof. That'd be pretty awesome. Okay, and this is the side of the house, and as you can see there's this concrete base here. Most construction in the Philippines is just a concrete slab and the house is built on top of that. There's usually no provision for any type of basement because of the water, the rain that comes down, the torrential downpours, and the low water table that a lot of the coastal areas have. So that's another difference. Alright, and the final difference is this is our little porch out front, and you can see there's tile. And you won't see wood porches or anything like that because of the termites. The termites here are rather vicious, and also just the general humidity and the general environmental conditions, which cause a lot of rot and any wood touching the ground to decay pretty quickly. So you see a lot of tile, pink tile. We have pink tile all through the house too. And the last external difference we're going to look at from houses in the West compared to houses in the Philippines is the driveway. This is the area right next to our house. It's just a concrete slab. There's no cover except for that little portable shelter that actually isn't sealed up top. So when it rains, the water pours through the ridge. I think it was sealed at one point, but it ripped or something. So this is just an old beat-up shelter. It keeps the bikes somewhat free of water, but not that much. Also, you can see a lot of the green here. This is all fungus, algae, mold, whatever you want to call it. And when it rains, it gets incredibly slippery. We've actually used bleach on it quite a few times, but it just comes back so quickly. So when it gets wet, you really got to be careful. This is where we usually park the truck, right up here, and we keep the bikes back here. So, in a nutshell, that is the differences, the external differences between houses in the West compared to houses in the Philippines. If you have anything you want to add, any comments, anything like that, leave it in the comments section. Till next time, this is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. Take care.